Good morning. I'm going to start out today talking about YouTube. And a problem I have with YouTube, and maybe there's a solution to my problem. I don't think there is, but maybe you can help me. A while back, I did a video on an actress, female actor from back in the day. She was a dancer and actor. I called her in the show June Prieser. That's how her last name is spelled. Now, I had no idea how to pronounce this last name, so I went on sites like pronouncenames.com and a few others, and they had a wide range of different ways to pronounce it. So I took the one that seemed to be the one that was most common, and that was Prieser. Well, since then, a few viewers have informed me that that's not how you pronounce it. It's a German name, and they spelled out how it should be pronounced, and I forget now how it should be pronounced. And I appreciate people who comment like that, people who tell me when I get things wrong. I've gotten a few of those. People told me I've got dates wrong and things like that, and I'm thank you for that. I deserve to be told when I get things wrong. But the problem is, YouTube doesn't have a way for me to fix that, right? Ideally, I like to redo the video and just upload a new version of the video to the same link to fix problems. If somebody says, Jeff, you got this date wrong, I'm like, yeah, I totally spaced out. I'll re-record that bit of audio and re-upload it. But to re-upload it on YouTube, you can't just re-upload it to the same link. You can't say put a fix in, right? You have to delete the video as it currently is and then re-upload it with a brand new link, and you're losing all the thumbs up likes that you've got, you're losing all the wonderful comments that you received, all that. It's like starting over. And since YouTube judges videos on those things, it's a dilemma, right? Especially like this one with June. I'm debating now whether I should just redo it or not, because I feel bad for her and her family that I got her name wrong. Even though we don't really know how she pronounced it, but I'm assuming these German gentlemen, or these gentlemen who know German, know the way it should be pronounced. So maybe, but there's other times where, I like one video, I think I said, instead of saying 1,200, I said 12,000, even though I knew it was 1,200, but I just said it wrong. I'd like to go in and just fix that little bit of audio, but I can't. There's no good way to do it. In videos like mine where I'm presenting history, it's important to get those things right. Anyway, it's just a thought I had on YouTube. Let's get on with the show. Well, good Sunday morning to you. Today I'm going to do something a bit different. Recently I was reminded of a film that came out in 1978 when I was 17 years old. It was a big deal at the time, but has since faded from memory. You younger kids probably never heard of it before. It was a film called FM. There are two types of Hollywood stories I really enjoy. The first is the small independent film that becomes a surprise hit, makes a ton of money. And the other one is a huge Hollywood blockbuster with tons of money thrown at it and some big name stars that completely falls on its face. When one of those big superhero films, either Marvel or DC, that's made for like $250 million and has some big name stars and a huge advertising campaign, totally fails, it really makes me smile. And I don't have anything against superhero films or blockbusters or Hollywood in general, but every once in a while I think that big celluloid needs a kick in the butt. They need a reminder that nothing is more important than a good story. And in a strange way, it proves there might be hope for the human race. No matter how much money Hollywood throws at their latest project, no matter how much they try to cram it down the public's throat, sometimes people are smart enough not to spend their hard-earned dollars on inferior garbage. I was born at a time where AM ruled the airwaves, but FM was rising fast. FM played songs that AM would never play, like Pink Floyd or Black Sabbath. And FM had a lot better sound too, and it was in stereo. AM was limited to playing pop songs that were no longer than like 3.5 minutes long, while FM, the length of the tune didn't matter. They would play In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida with the complete drum solo. Hey, the cool kids listen to FM radio. So a movie based on an FM radio station was a natural. And of course the plot had to be an us against the establishment thing. Now some of the actors who were hired to play the disc jockeys were Eileen Brennan as Mother, Alex Karras as Doc Holliday, Cleavon Little as the Prince of Darkness, and Martin Mull as Eric Swan. Now I love all those actors, but let me tell you, none of those four are convincing as on-air talent. Now the station is run by Michael Brandon, who plays the hip Jeff Duggan, a man with principles. Now the bottom line is, none of these characters are all that likable. Anyway, this is one of those situations where an upcoming film was getting a lot of press, not to mention a top-selling soundtrack. The film's theme song by Steely Dan, called FM No Static at All, was a big hit. The soundtrack also featured songs by Bob Seger, the Steve Miller Band, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, the Eagles, Linda Ronstadt, Queen, and more. In fact, Tom Petty, REO Speedwagon, Linda Ronstadt, and Jimmy Buffett all make cameos in the film. But they forgot one thing, a good story. Not to offend Ezra Sachs, the writer of the film, but the plot is just silly and it's all over the place. When Martin Mull has a breakdown on the air, I didn't know enough about him to care. And when Eileen Brennan decided to quit, I was like, go ahead. On-air personalities on radio come and go all the time, so what's the big deal? Now I'm going to let Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune tell you about the movie. FM is the saga of a semi-progressive rock FM station and the battle of its young manager and disc jockeys to keep themselves pure in the face of commercial interference by a new sales manager. Predictably, the sales manager is a square. He's interested in profits only. He wants to run a lot of Army recruiting ads on the station. The hip, young, bearded station manager doesn't want Army ads, and the battle eventually is joined. FM culminates in an on-street face-off between young and old. Will the station survive? And he goes on to say that more depressing are the station's DJs, and I agree. All the problems at the station, the personal issues of the characters seem so contrived. So when the film was released with its big build-up and all, it turned out to be a complete failure. Now there are times when a film, upon its initial release, is a failure, but people over time realize that it's actually a pretty good movie. The Big Lebowski is a case of that. But I watched this film recently before I did this show, and let me tell you, it's still just a bad film. Now, like everything, there are bits that are worth watching. Like there's 3 live performances from Linda Ronstadt, and you can't go wrong with Linda Ronstadt. Now, I looked this film up on Rotten Tomatoes, and it seems some people did really enjoy this film, and I can respect that. They're wrong, of course, but I can respect that. And if anybody believes that this represents radio in the late 70s, it doesn't. I know, I was there. Now, whether you like this film or not, that's not the point of this rant. What I am saying is you can fool all the people some of the time. You can fool some of the people all the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And it just goes to show that no matter how hard you try, no matter how much money you use to advertise and such, you can't artificially create a hit, and that gives me hope for humanity. Maybe, just maybe, people are smarter than I normally give them credit for. And then I watch one of those Transformer movies, and it crushes all my optimism. Thanks for watching. Bye.